Hello, 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 everybody. Today's going to be a good show. Welcome to the Kathie J Show. It's a joy to get to hang out with you this half hour. Thanks for hanging out with us. I hope you're having a good day so far. I also want to remind you, we have a YouTube channel, everybody, Kathie J, and you can catch up on any past shows there, as well as KathieJShow.com. All right, everybody, so let's just get into it because I'm so excited about my guest today. Today, we're talking about orthopedic trauma. What? Why are we talking about that, Kathie? That's getting a little deep, Kathie. No, I got the perfect guy. Now, orthopedic trauma is what happened to me when I broke my leg on New Year's Eve, everybody, and it has been traumatic. But the surgeon who put me back together is fascinating, and he's one of only about 15 traumatologists in the area, everybody. Please welcome my surgeon and Denver's area traumatologist, Dr. Ravish Richard, to the show. Yay! Dr. Richard, I'm so excited you're here.
Thank you.
I put my prop shoe on. He was like, Kathie, you're not going to walk in that yet. I was like, no, I'm still doing tennis shoes.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
Okay, so when we met New Year's Eve, or we met a couple days after, I broke it on New Year's Eve, met you about 4 days later. I was so scared. I was in so much pain, and you were happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to learn about orthopedic trauma. Tell it to everybody out there.
Yeah, so orthopedic trauma is a field of medicine specifically within orthopedic surgery where you do some additional training to take care of the most complex injuries, specifically fracture care. So broken bones, broken joints, and dealing with really anything related to the musculoskeletal system that is rather complex. Okay,
so there's orthopedic means bones and joints?
Correct.
Okay, and so that could be, and then you have specialized orthopedics like the ones that deal with the spine and those things. But when it comes to all the rest of our bones in our body, if something traumatic happens with them, you're probably a surgeon that's getting called.
Yeah, so there's, like you said, there's not a whole lot of us out there. We're pretty subspecialty trained, so when the more complex injuries do occur, we are the specialists that everybody calls to kind of come in. And if you think of a car wreck, we're the ones who get involved with any broken bones that occur in that situation.
Oh, no, you're awesome. You're amazing. So so here's the thing. You just happened to be on call that day. I lucked out when you were there. What did you do? I mean, growing up, where did you grow up?
So I grew up, was actually born in India, New Delhi, and was there till I was about 6 years old. There's a picture being shown here of me actually on a train to the Taj Mahal.
Oh, cool.
And we were getting ready to move to the United States here. So
I love how you're already wearing your USA clothing.
So I was super excited.
You're like, I'm ready. And you said, so then you moved out here you moved to Syracuse, right? And your family was like, too cold. So you went down to Orlando.
Correct.
Okay, that's pretty cool. But you said that you were always good with working with your hands and stuff. Like you loved puzzles and Legos and helping your dad.
Yeah, so I mean, my dad wasn't the most handy guy, so we kind of figured things out together and built a lot of the furniture in our house. And,
are you serious?
And that kind of stuff, yeah. And so that transitioned to my house now. Like I built the staircase in my house.
No, you didn't.
Did
oh my gosh, you shouldn't be doing any of that kind of stuff with your hands.
Well, I know. That's what my wife tells me for sure.
Right. So this is pretty impressive, though. You did grow up in Orlando, and so at one moment you win a prestigious award from Disney. Right?
I did. That was about 4th or 5th grade. So that was probably the first time in my life that I realized, good grades and working hard can really take you to places. And that was a pretty prestigious award for that time in my life.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably the earliest time where I really considered becoming a doctor. I didn't know what I was going to be in medicine,
right?
But at least
going into medical
medical school. Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, everybody. So when we come back, we're going to find out about that medical career, how it took him from Orlando to Pennsylvania to Haiti to the Sudan to Colorado. We'll be back. Ramos Law is an official partner of the Kathie J Show. He's a medical doctor and a lawyer. Ramos Law. What makes us different makes us better. Welcome back to the Kathie J Show. Today we are speaking with the man who literally put my leg and ankle back together after I broke it on New Year's Eve. This is orthopedic traumatologist Dr. Ravish Richard. Yay, Dr. Richard! So, Dr. Richard, you're the master in your field. You're only about one of 15 traumatologists in the Denver metro area. Yep. That's pretty amazing. You probably had a lot of schooling to get there.
Yeah.
So I want to know how you got there. Okay, so you had your 4 years of undergraduate.
Yes.
And you have to give a shout out to
The U. That's right. I went to the University of Miami, so yes.
Yes, that
Shout
was
out
great
to
when
it.
my husband and I showed up and he was in his Seminoles gear. I was like, here we go.
That's right.
Please be nice to my ankle, Dr. Richard. And then you knew early on, like you had said, that you wanted to go into the medical field.
Right.
And then so you decided, like, when did you know it was orthopedics?
That was fairly early in medical school.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, so, orthopedics is a pretty competitive field to get into from a specialty standpoint. So it takes good grades in medical school, and it takes, pretty a lot of work early on, especially doing research and being mentored by the right orthopedic surgeons to get into the field. And so it's, I knew fairly early on that's what I wanted to do within medicine, as far as that goes.
You wanted bones and joints because you liked the putting it together
Yeah,
stuff.
I liked working with my hands. It's basically glorified carpentry. So
Okay, you laugh, but I have the X-ray of my ankle a little later, and it is. It's glorified carpentry.
Yeah.
So then you're heading. So you did your 4 years of undergraduate, and now it's time for you to head off to medical school, and you're going to Pennsylvania.
No, so medical school was also at Miami.
It was,
Yes,
okay.
So 4 years of undergrad, then 4 years of medical school at the University of Miami.
And then you meet your wife. Wait, where is she in there?
Yes, I met my wife not through school. She was just through a friend.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I met
that
her
was
in Miami.
that was a nice friend that hooked you up with her. She is stunning. That's
you.
such a beautiful photo.
Thank you.
And then so you head off. So this is right before medical school.
That was that was right after. Yes, so right after medical school, before I started my residency.
Okay, that's
So,
where it is.
yes.
Okay.
And so that's kind of the time frame for that. And shout out to my wife Jasenia. She's
Hi,
beautiful.
Jasenia. Now, I wanted to point this out because you had mentioned in our call that she kind of became an instant single mom because residency. Explain to everybody what you have to do when you're in residency.
Yeah, so residency was in Pennsylvania. Essentially, it was 5 to 6 grueling years of basically being a resident in a hospital. That's what's called residency.
You live there.
And you basically live there. So we had 2 of our kids in residency, and my wife was essentially a single mom during those years because
Because she's a great woman. So there's your beautiful family. Who do we have there?
So that's my wife Jasenia. Then my oldest son is Jaden. He's just turned 8 this past week.
Awesome.
Elia, who's 5 years old in the middle there, and then the one that I'm holding is Mila, and she's 2.
It's a beautiful family,
Thank
for
you.
real.
Thank
And
you.
so after your residency, then you didn't go into just being a doctor. You then did what?
So then I did an additional year of training in Indiana University for orthopedic trauma. And that's really the year that cemented my subspecialty within orthopedics, which is being the traumatologist in the area and being the subspecialist, the one who deals with all the most complex injuries.
Okay, so how many years total of schooling have you had?
It's about 11 years.
11 years, and here's your residency, Art. You wanted to give a shout out to
Shout out
this group.
to Geisinger Orthopedics. This is my residency program in Central Pennsylvania. Phenomenal time there.
No, you can tell. You can
Yeah.
tell. So when we come back really fast, I want to talk to you about your missions, and then we're going to get into some trauma talk. We'll be right back with Dr. Rich.
Kathie J.
Oakwood Homes is an official partner of the Kathie J Show. Oakwood Homes, building happiness.
Kathie J.
And welcome back to the Kathie J Show. So today I have the honor of speaking with Dr. Ravish Richard. Yay! He is the traumatologist surgeon who put my leg back together after I broke it 16 weeks ago. We've been on a journey together for 16 weeks. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Nobody I'd rather be on this journey with. You have made this so easy. Thank you. I think it's because of all of the schooling and the fact that you were made to do this.
Yeah.
You took your work on missions as well.
I did.
Where have you been?
So I've been multiple places. A lot of time in southern Sudan and Uganda, in Africa, as well as Nicaragua and Haiti.
Oh my gosh! Explain this adorable photo.
Yeah, so this is one of my earliest medical missions. This is in southern Sudan.
Oh no! That's my X-ray picture. Don't go into that yet. But yeah,
that was a young
that's me.
orphan girl by the name of Yolanda who had some medical issues, and so just we were able to get her the appropriate care that she needed. And
Why is that important for you to help people in another country?
I think it's just a way you can give back, right? I think I've been blessed with this opportunity to serve the community as a whole, but to serve the global community is also very important. I've always wanted to be a doctor because I wanted to help people. Right?
Yeah.
And so that's a way I was able to help. And even before I was a doctor, I was doing those mission trips. And so.
Oh, you were?
Yes.
Okay.
That's part of my, backstory. So.
Okay, so that's cool. So you've always just helped people.
Yeah.
And with orthopedic trauma, he told me, he was like, I get to see the results.
Yes.
You get to see the person walking again that you've helped. Yeah, put back together. So your specialty are the bones and joints, but explain the trauma part. You said it's the impact, right?
It is. So, there's a lot that happens, right, at the time of impact,
Yes.
Or say car wreck or falling from a, significant height. There's a mental, emotional, physical component, obviously, essentially, there's a lot of trauma, not just to the bones and joints, but to the soft tissue that occurs as well. And so, it's important to be able to take care of all those things, and you need a lot of training and expertise in the field to be able to do that safely.
But you're not worried. You're not dealing with the bone or with the blood and all that. It comes with the territory, but you're not really a blood guy, right? You were like, that's not my best.
Yeah, no. That's not typically what I'm dealing with. There's other surgeons who deal with that.
How do you guys know how to jump in and who goes first?
Yeah, good question. There is a lot of working interdisciplinarily between surgeons and between specialists, especially for the more complex injuries and complex patients.
Yeah.
But it really is just an art, as much as it is a science. And so,
like, somebody has to make sure the blood is clamped off and everything's cool there, and then you go in and.
Yep.
Yeah.
And sometimes if it's minor, I deal with it myself, right?
Right.
But, if I need another specialist help, I will call for their help, or vice versa, right? And so,
God bless all you specialists. Absolutely. What is the difference between blunt trauma and penetrating trauma?
So blunt trauma is typically what you think of when you're, car wrecks and motorcycle crashes, those kind of things. Penetrating trauma is typically knife and gunshot wounds.
Oh, penetrating. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. And you deal with all that.
Deal with all of that. Right.
Okay,
Yep.
but you want to deal with all that.
I do. I don't mind it at all.
Okay. So when we get hurt, okay, and something has happened, like as soon as I broke that foot, I heard the crunch, I heard the pop, what's going on in our body when we start feeling that warmth or going to the, and we start going into shock? Explain what does happen to our body when trauma hits it.
Yeah, there's obviously that adrenaline kick, right? Initially when you have a fight or flight response, right? Your body has this adrenaline burst, and oftentimes people will describe not even feeling the injury initially because there's all that adrenaline pumping through their body. But once that wears off, most people are, pretty cognizant of what's going on. And, there's a lot of swelling, there's a lot of bruising because what happens is bone bleeds, and it can cause a lot of inflammation and swelling in that area. And so
bones bleed?
Bones bleed. When they break, there's arteries inside bones as well, and that can, when those rupture, they bleed. And
okay.
So
I guess that's okay. That's interesting. Okay. So when I came to you, you were so excited because my leg was like a puzzle.
Yeah.
And you put it back together, and we do have the x-ray art. There it is right there. So 13 screws and 2 plates is what you had in there.
Yep.
And when I saw the x-ray, I was like, were you drinking? Why are there so many different size screws? Explain what you do there.
Yeah, so you had broken your ankle in a few different spots. There's 2 bones that are overlapped in that picture, but essentially, you got to put everything back together like a puzzle. It's like a big jigsaw puzzle, and that's what makes it fun for me. I have the opportunity to kind of be creative in that moment too.
It's not fun because there's like my ankle's going this way, and you have to remember the tendons and how our foot sits. And that's just that part of our body. You could get a dislocated shoulder or a broken clavicle. How do you keep it all straight?
Well, that's why you go to 11 to 12 years of training for it, right?
It's amazing.
Yeah, and so it is definitely an art. You have to take care of the soft tissues and as much of the bones as well. So, but yes, there's a lot that goes into it, a lot of thought process, a lot of planning that goes into every surgery, even before I operate or make an incision.
Yeah, no, for sure. Thank gosh. Now, what's the longest you've been in surgery?
The longest in a continuous surgery is probably close to about 10 hours.
10 hours?
Yeah.
Do you get a bathroom break?
You do. So depending on who you're with, a lot of times we will take breaks, and if I'm operating with assistants, if it's a portion of the case where we can take a break,
right.
we will take a break, and someone will go use the restroom, and maybe grab a quick snack or something, and then come back, scrub back in,
and get in there.
We'll kind of swap each other out.
Because you don't want to leave things open too long and all that, right?
You definitely can't. But I mean, those are the extreme cases of 10 to 12 hour cases. That's not routinely done for most.
No,
surgeons.
you had me in and out. I was shocked at how
Yeah.
fast that was. So, and what do you listen to music while you do surgery?
Absolutely, I have to listen to music. In
You
the
do?
operating room.
What
Yeah.
do you listen to?
So I listen to everything. I listen to 80s, 90s, kind of a mix of everything. That's the time I grew up in the 90s. So,
Yeah.
and then anything from hip hop, R&B.
That's
to,
cool.
To rock. It doesn't matter.
Even on a short surgery like mine, will you put music on?
Oh yeah, and oftentimes I'll ask patients. I don't know if I did. For
You did it. You
specifically
just
or
knocked
not,
me out.
but yeah.
I think all of your assistants were like, this girl keeps talking. Knock her out. All right. So, Dr. Richard, when we come back, we're going to talk about, what happens in your recovery and why it's important to go to those physical therapy appointments. We'll be back.
All right.
And first, everybody, here's this week's fun fact from the Colorado Lottery. Did you know that since 1985, the Colorado Lottery has given more than $3.7 billion back to our parks, trails, open spaces, and recreation projects across this beautiful state? So play on and play responsibly. The Colorado Lottery.
Kathie J.
Welcome back to the Kathie J Show. Today we've been speaking with one of only about 15 traumatologists in the Denver metro area, everybody. It's my doctor, Dr. Ravish Richard. Yeah, Dr. Richard, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So we were just asking you, 10 hours is your longest surgery you've had. Yeah. What's one of the most complicated patients you've had?
Yeah, so I mean, there's plenty that come to mind. One of the most recent ones is a 17-year-old girl involved in a what we say a polytrauma, meaning multiple injuries after being ejected out of a car.
That's everybody's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
That's fatal usually.
Usually. She broke pretty much every bone in her both of her lower extremities. And I ended up over the course of a few weeks piecing everything back together, putting her back together. I saw her actually just this past week for her year checkup. She's walking, running, back to doing everything. In fact, she's inspired to go to medical school now.
That's awesome because of everything she's learned from you.
Because of everything that she has been through.
That's pretty. So, that's awesome. Yeah. It's weird how our fate finds us. Yes. Okay. So, our bodies are incredible.
Yes.
And they are made to work a certain way. And what I'm learning is things like engaging my arch now in physical therapy and toe yoga and how we stand. Tell everybody, yes, physical therapy is an additional piece of money out of your pocket, but tell everybody why it's important.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, do your part as well, right? And so I liken it to being in school, and if you're not doing your homework and doing the extra credit portion of it, you probably could pass your class, but you're not going to get an A. And it's the same concept as far as recovery goes from an injury. You have to do your part as a patient. You have to be involved with physical therapy and have somebody coach you through the process, because you will likely have the best result as
it's mental. I'm sure it also, I was down in the dumps for a couple of days. You can't move, you can't, go down a single stair. So I'm sure you also deal with people that mentally have to fight through it. That's
Absolutely.
a big one.
There's the reason it's called trauma, right?
Yeah.
There's a traumatic component to it. Mentally is a big portion of it for sure.
I still hear bones cracking. Is that normal for people to hear that?
Yeah,
to experience it?
You mean to remember what you went through?
Yeah, right.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a PTSD component to it, right? So yes, hopefully with time that will.
I hope so
fade
too.
away.
That's what people have told me. So I want to know, Dr. Richard, what is the most common injury that we come in with?
Probably overall, ankle fractures and hip fractures are probably and wrist fractures, I should say.
Oh, really?
Those three are probably the most common of all blunt trauma, meaning falls and whatnot.
Right.
But we deal with everything.
You deal with all of it, right? So rolling an ankle to breaking the ankle, we're coming to see you.
Correct.
All right.
Correct.
Now my producer was wondering, when you see injuries and the person wasn't the smartest when they got the injury, like they were on a skateboard in their sandals or whatever. I decided to jump off of this. Yeah. How do you handle that?
Yeah, I mean, we took an oath as a doctor, right, to take care of everybody.
Right.
And so you have to be impartial. In a lot of situations, you take care of the patient no matter how they entered the trauma bay or how they entered the ER or your office. And so you just take care of the patient, do the best thing for them. And, a lot of times they get inspired to
become a
their
doctor.
life.
Yeah.
So,
So you just heard why he does what he does, everybody. And Dr. Richard is definitely, he's about to now go to Denver Health.
yes.
He's
yes.
going back to Denver Health, everybody, because you want to be where the real trauma is.
Yeah, so Denver Health is the level 1 trauma center for pretty much the state of Colorado. And
It's
so
awesome.
we see the worst of the worst injuries there.
And you want that.
I do. I like that. And I have a passion for teaching, so I'm going to be training residents and fellows as well. So, yeah, that's kind of the situation I love being in.
Dr. Richard, you're amazing, and thank you so much for helping people.
Thank you for
We're
having
short
me
on
again.
time, but I want everybody to know if you end up in an ER, I pray it's Dr. Richard looking back at you. Everybody take care of yourself and have a good day.